Day 5 started by changing the bandage on my deep wound. Then I cut down 3 belts to obtain 6 leather strips. This way I can have high-quality bandages ready to be used. Then I moved in the left cabinet the rags and adhesive bandages. I won't need them anymore, considering my wide belt collection. Last day I noticed that bushes hugely impacted my truck speed. I decided to clear out some of those. In the middle of it, I was interrupted by a zombie that heard the noise, and he approached me from the north. But his sacrifice to the cause wasn't in vain, considering he brought me a digital watch to add to my electronics collection. In exchange, I bartered some grass I cut before. Then I finished clearing the driveway, moved the car, and cleared the bushes hiding underneath. After that, I cleared also the parking and properly parked my Dart in the second lot, because the first is reserved for the dead. For the truck, I decided to park it in reverse, so it's ready to roll. After that, I also cleared the gazebo area and the front entrance to make my base more presentable. After that, I dealt with another lumberjack coming from the forest. Then focused on clearing a little bit more along the tree line. Hopefully later I can fill this space with more working cars. Then I kept cleaning even the other side of the building area. Man, I just wanted a moment of peace and forget that around me there was only undead people eager to just eat my brain. I woke up from my dreams when I got a level of tracking from this activity. This is a new skill in Build 42. Considering that the tooltip says that I had to use search mode, I actually didn't understand how I was able to level it up by just removing some grass. Doesn't matter, because until I can survive what the helicopter even will put me through, nothing I do matters anyway. So I kept clearing the backyard until I had a decent clear area around the house. After that I moved back to clear the driveway, so if I need I can drive away without being slowed down if I have to flee. But unfortunately I don't have an axe to deal with the trees. So I decided to clear away around the tree line toward the crossroad. After that I went back home and brought the Z corpse I left yesterday night in the closet down to the basement. Then I went upstairs to bring down also the one I killed in my bedroom, followed by the couple that was hiding in the clothing room. All of this corpse dragging made my character exhausted, but I like to have a clear base. Next I picked up some trash from the living room and then moved it inside the pile of corpses in the parking lot. After that I changed the bandage on my groin, hoping that the leather strips would stop the infection. Next I checked the graveyard for some digital watches. Then took a well-deserved beer from the fridge and went to my reading area to spend a few hours learning foraging before the sunset. After 8 p.m. was too dark to continue, so I drank a quarter of it just to fight the pain and sleep in my bed. I woke up at 2 a.m. and decided to fast forward till 5 a.m. in order to avoid using my torch batteries. Finally, before starting my 6th day with a loot run, I changed my groin bandage. In order to collect every single useful item from each house, I decided to explore using my truck. Then, as soon as I reached the house where I found it, I had to deal with a straggler and took his belt. Seconds after, another joined the fight. While dealing with him, a new group was quickly approaching. One of them was stubborn and didn't want to fall. At the end, I managed to push him down and started pushing the second. Both were too fast to get up and took several pushes and stomps before dying. This gave the time for another one to join the fight in time, but he fell after one push, allowing me to finish both of them. Before moving on, I collected the belts and digital watches from the victims. Zooming out, I noticed a really slow zombie walking in my direction. I swiftly dealt with him before going back to my truck. Once there, behind it, I noticed another Z, and after dealing with him, I was pleased to find that it had a kitchen knife for me. While double-checking the other corpses, another one came from behind the white car. As soon as I dealt with him, another one climbed over the fence to the left. But I was fast enough to stomp him before he was able to get up. From this fight, I was able to get a couple of digital watches. After that, I drove to the next crossroad. From here, I noticed a group of zombies between the one-story buildings. One of those was locked on me as soon as I left the car. But seconds after, he lost interest, forcing me to get a little bit closer to catch his attention back again. After several pushes, I was able to deal with him. The noise alerted the others, but only one decided to face me. So I showed him how cool were my boots. 3 more decided that they wanted the same treatment, but I had to back down a little bit to avoid more trouble. One by one, they dropped like flies. One of them had a pair of scissors I can use in order to rip clothes faster. I didn't have time to check the rest before another was ready to join his friends. Plus, a slow one decided he don't want to be left out. As soon as I turned to the next group, they turned around in fear and started to pretend to not see me. My waiting was finally rewarded and both of them started chasing me. The furthest one started to run and was the first to die, while the other one was not that excited to meet his end. But I had to deal with him anyway. Another one watched the whole fight, doing nothing from the doorstep of his house. Only when I started to get closer he decided to flee, but was forced to turn around and fight me. After that, I looted them for any useful stuff, then moved everything in the car trunk. Before pressing on, I decided that was a good idea to read a few pages of foraging level 1 for 30 minutes. Then, approaching the first house, a new enemy decided to chase me, while a second one climbed through the window. The first was easy to deal with, but 2 more were coming from the house. Thankfully, both dropped from the first push, and I was able to one-shot the first, while the other one quickly got up and tried to grab me. Thankfully, I was able to react in time and pushed him back down in order to smash his head soon after. To the south, I noticed 3 more, and the first quickly reached my location only to be swiftly killed. I was able to get a belt and a digital watch from the corpses, before the next 2 decided to join the graveyard. One had even another belt and watch for me. Finally, I had to kill the last one before starting looting the house. First, I checked the garbage, where from a garbage bag, I was able to obtain a ratchet wrench in worn condition and a better jacket than mine in almost perfect condition. After wearing the last one, I went inside the house. In the kitchen, there was no loot to be found. While near the bed, I found a radio I picked up and a belt inside the cupboard. While from the bathroom, I was able to get a hairdryer and some bleach. After that, this house was done. Moving to the next one was uneventful, and I was able to get inside through the window. In the bedroom on the ground, I found a duffel bag. This one, compared to the small backpack I had on me, offers 4 more capacity in exchange for 5 points in encumbrance reduction. I prefer to have more space, so after moving all of my loot inside it, I equipped it on my back. After that, I picked up the television and moved it into the new bag. Plus, from the ground, I was able to obtain my first rifle, despite it was in worn condition. It still had some bullets inside. Next, in the bathroom, I was able to find the first aid volume 1 I could read later on. While from the kitchen, I got an empty bowl and some canned sardines. Back to the car, I deposited everything in the trunk. Then I drove till a car crash. As soon as I stopped, a zombie got up from the ground near the next house and started chasing me. It was an easy kill and I got a belt for my trouble. Then I approached the window of the house. It was destroyed by the zombie inside. So I taught him a lesson about private property respect by smashing his brain. Seconds after another meet the same destiny. Then another one came from the south. I met him halfway for a discussion. This action alerted another one. While strafing backwards, I was pleased to see a nimble skill level up. There were more behind, so I kept backing up till the house corner where I fought the first and then the second. I had time to loot from them another belt before the third started chasing me. I swiftly dealt with him before zooming out in order to see that there was more incoming from behind him. I dealt with the first as fast as I can, then tried to line up the other 2 in order to avoid being under a pincer attack. This allowed me to drop them one on top of the other. But I messed up both the metal bar attack and my positioning on top of the other. So I had to push them down again before securing the first kill with the metal bar, following by a stomp on the second. I was sure that I had to rest, so I ran inside the house and sat for a quick read of my foraging skill book. 40 minutes after, I was ready to keep going. On my way to the next house, I looted some belts and digital watches. Then, looking through the window, revealed another Z reaching my location. As soon as he climbed over, I smashed his head. Then entering inside, I found the last tenant banging on his bedroom door. So I helped him to lay down. After that, in the bathroom, I found an adhesive bandage and some caffeine pills. I can use the last one if I will need to fight through the tiredness in case of an emergency. Next, in the kitchen I found some cinnamon and a fruit jam. After finishing looting the kitchen, a zombie decided to get inside for the dinner. But the only thing I was able to offer him is some bloody boots. Guess he was happy about it, considering his generous digital watch donation. Another wanted a bite, but had nothing to give in exchange. Then another one joined the feast from the sink window. At least he had his belt ticket and even some boots to add to my soup. Checking my surroundings, I noticed a small group outside of the window. One noticed me immediately but approached the unbroken window. So I smashed it with my pipe and helped him to get under my boots. Seconds after, another one rushed inside, and considering that I was tired, it took several hits to finish him. Then I tried to whisper to call the next one, but instead a new appeared from behind the tree line to the right, only to disappear soon after. He was locked on me already, so it took a few seconds for him to climb through the sink window. He had a good pair of boots and some fingerless gloves to loot. After that, I removed the broken glass from the sink window, then climbed through, only to be chased by a zombie hiding close to it. To avoid fighting all three at the same time, I went back to the building entrance, pushed him down before the second was on me, and positioning myself the way that he would fall on top of the other. This strategy allowed me to safely kill them both, despite it took too many stomps. One of them had an umbrella that actually, despite it quickly breaks, is powerful as a spear, so I took it. Then I reached the last one near the road, and after killing him I took his belt. Time to loot it, and another one was fast approaching. But despite my tiredness, he fell from the first push and died from the first stomp. At this point, I was on the brink of the collapse, but anyway pushed further to the next building. My determination was rewarded in front of the bathroom door, where I found a granola bar lying on the ground, followed by some literature in the bookshelf and a skill book about animal care on the ground in front of it. Plus, on top of that shelf, there was a radio I decided to take as well. To finish in the bedroom on the ground, I found a pickle. I picked it up hoping it was not used for some inappropriate activities. After that, I left the building through the bathroom window in order to safely reach the dumpster. It had only a garbage bag, but inside, to my surprise, there was a bag of wallpaper paste powder that I could use in the future when I will need to build a house. Plus, the garbage bag had a juice and some screws as a bonus. After extracting the loot, I collected the garbage bag as well. I was so close to the convenience store, but I was certain that I was in no shape to clear it right now. Therefore, using some stealth, I carefully reached the next dumpster. I thrown the garbage bag from the smaller one to the ground. Inside it, I found a high-vis that I took before throwing the skirt in the dumpster in order to take only the garbage bag. After that, I checked the zombies in the parking lot and one decided to chase me. After dealing with him, I noticed that a zombie was migrating toward my only exit, so I went back to meet him, doing so aggro a second zombie from the group. Despite I was able to push him down and stump him, he didn't die, giving space for the second to attack me. While trying to push him away, I accidentally freed the other one that swiftly got up. Considering my extreme tiredness, if I keep trying to fight them, I will exhaust myself. For this reason, I had to flee to the previous house, close the door behind me, and after breaking the glass of the window and removing the shards from the frame, I climbed through. The noise attracted another one that I had to fight. At the end of the fight, I was started to be out of breath, but the other two pursuers was already inside the house running toward my location. Luckily, one went for the intact window, while the other jumped through the broken one. It took 6 stomps to dispose of this one. Seconds after, another appeared from behind the house corner. Thankfully, this one fell on the ground immediately and took less stomps to die. After that, I waited a few moments that the last one was able to break the window and ended climbing through. This one was able to tank 3 hits. Time to deal with him, and another one jumped through the window. It took too many stomps to finish the last one, and I even gained the extreme tired moodlet. If I would keep pushing my luck in these conditions, I will die, so I decided to go back to the previous building. Good choice considering that I forgot to loot the bedroom. From its bookshelf, I got some literature, picked up the television, and from the drawer got a CD player and a t-shirt in perfect condition to add to my collection. After that, I went to my car and deposited the loot in the trunk. Then I felt safe enough to check the crashed ambulance. But it was closed, so I had to smash its passenger window. From within, I unlocked the doors and the trunk. Then took a scalpel I found on the seat. While from the trunk, accessible from the driver's seat, I got some alcohol wipes, antidepressants, and some bandages. A little bit below there was an oxygen tank. That is a new item introduced with Build 42. I still didn't learn if it has any uses, so I took it. After that, I took also the painkillers, the surgical mask, and the suture needle, to finish with a trauma bag. Next, I checked also the other car that had only an empty gas can to offer. Checking both vehicle gas tank, I found out that the ambulance's actually was full. So I marked the location with that icon in the map. At this point, finally, was time to drive back home. Here I took all the supplies gathered during the day from the trunk. Took the beer I started yesterday from the fridge and deposited the rest of food supplies in it. Then I decided to check the trauma bag loot. It has some alcohol wipes, adhesive bandages, surgical gloves, painkillers, sleeping pills, and even a suture needle. After that, I placed the radios on the living room table, the rifle on the opposite edge of it, and the trauma bag into its side. Then I went upstairs where in the bathroom cabinet I deposited all of the medical supplies I obtained from the ambulance. Then the boots and the new clothes in the clothing rack. The new 16 belts and the empty gas can in the left bedroom cabinet, followed by the 7 watches in the right side. To finish the day, I drank the rest of my beer to get rid of the hunger moodle and went to bed.